Sawadee. This week we are focusing on your jumping techniques of your kick and knee strikes.
Welcome to this week's training. This week we'll be focusing on our jumping techniques, which can generate a lot of power but can also expose you to being countered by your opponent.
So the advantages of your jumping techniques are that you can gain distance and gain height quickly, as well as delivering extra power in your technique. So these are techniques that you don't see too often in a fight. They require a lot of skill, they require good timing and precision. They are not techniques that you're going to throw randomly to see if they work. So we're going to be looking at your jumping tip, your tip gradord, your jumping roundhouse, your dare gradord, and then your jumping knee strike, which is your kaoloi.
It's got a lot to do with putting your hips into your strikes and getting comfortable with turning your hips while being in the air, while at the same time trying to keep your guard up. With performing these kicks whilst exploding off the floor, jumping, you have to be comfortable at least with doing them while you're standing up and not falling off balance, and then we can move on. So let's start off by our push kick.
Basics to remember here is that your head should be over your standing leg, which is not going to change when you jump into the air. You're using your hips to thrust forward to get that push in your tip.
And then let's move on to our side kick.
Remember, you are keeping your guard up, so at least one hand always in guard position. You may use one hand to assist you with balance and your thrust of your hip, but try and practice both ways. So with your guard fully up as well as using one hand to assist your thrust.
Now, to get comfortable with doing these kicks, but of course doing them while jumping, we can start off by practicing just jumping and switching our stance. We want to land in a balanced position and be ready to either attack or defend ourselves. Once we get comfortable with that, we can move on to bringing our knees up as high up as we can, and by doing that we're already practicing controlling our legs a little bit more. We want to land on the ball of our feet, and we want to engage our legs and use our knees to break the fall or to break the impact of landing.
So with your jumping tip, it's important not to take that step forward before you tip. So your jump is not coming from that skip. It's coming directly from your standing leg. So you're lifting and jumping. So it's not this, it is that. In order to get height and power from your jumping techniques, you need to work on those plyometric exercises. So exercises such as your jump squat, your jumping lunges, and so on. Those are all very important techniques to help you get that power in jumping off the ground. For your jumping roundhouse, your technique of your roundhouse is the same. You're just getting a little bit of height You can tuck in your foot, lifting your knee up as you strike, but open up that foot so when you land, your foot is in the right position. So the difference between your jumping tip and your jumping roundhouse is the fact in your tip, you are springing from one leg. So you're lifting, jumping from one leg. With your roundhouse, you are springing up from both legs. So your jump comes from both legs and you turn in the air.
As you jump, you are switching your stance. Try and land on the ball of your feet if you can in order to prevent injuries. And of course, you want to end up in a balanced position, making sure that you're not exposed and that your stance is proper.
With your jumping roundhouse, you're going to make contact with your target while you're still in the air. And this makes it extra important to maintain your balance centered even when airborne. You need to make sure that your head is centered over your standing leg or the leg you're jumping onto. With your jumping knee or kaoloi, you are switching your hips in the air. So you need to get enough height so that there is enough time and space to get your hip switch in and your hips forward with sufficient power.
So moving on to our combos. Our first one is a jumping tip.
In this exercise, you're going to use both your lead leg as well as your rear leg.
Now moving on to our second combo, it's our jumping side tip. Now, if we're jumping or exploding before we execute our side kick, it's important that we get to turn our hip mid-air. And to help with balance, you can push one of your arms away with your side kick and see if that helps if you're falling off balance. You don't have to, you can keep both of your guards up, of course, as long as you can see what your opponent is doing.
Your third combo uses a regular tip to set up for a more powerful jumping tip of the same leg. So you're going to tip twice and follow up with a jumping tip. Remember again that you need to ensure that your weight is still centered in your jumping tip. Your next combination uses your regular lead tip to set up now for a rear jumping tip. So you tip twice, you lift that lead leg as if you were about to deliver another tip, but you switch over to a jumping rear tip. You may hear this referred to as a bicycle technique because it mimics a bicycle step mid-air.
For our fifth combo, jab cross, roundhouse kick from a back leg, followed straight after by a jumping side kick from our back leg. For our last combo, we're going to start with a back push kick, stepping forward, and then 3 punches, starting with your jab, your new jab, that was your cross, and it now became your jab, and then we're ending with a jumping kick from our back leg, which was our front leg and is now our back leg.